Bills Mafia, welcome back. As always, our Buffalo Bills are focused on one thing: improving every single week, finding ways to sharpen their game, and pushing closer to that ultimate goal of bringing the Lombardi Trophy home to Western New York. That relentless commitment to getting better is what makes this team so special, and it's why we're here, breaking down every storyline that matters. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. Let's make sure every Bills fan out there can join in on this conversation. All right, let's get into the news, because we've got some big updates heading into Week 4 against the New Orleans Saints. The Bills are 3-0, and the vibes are high, but there's no hiding it. This roster is banged up. Head coach Sean McDermott confirmed that linebacker Matt Milano and defensive tackle Ed Oliver will both be out for Sunday's matchup. That's two of our defensive leaders sidelined. Oliver has been dealing with an ankle issue, and this will be his third straight missed game. Milano, one of the best linebackers in the league, has a pectoral injury and wasn't able to practice at all this week. Losing both of those guys at once is a massive challenge for the defense, especially against a Saints team that loves to use Alvin Kamara out of the backfield and mix in creative looks in the passing game. But there's a little bit of good news too. Our starting right tackle, Spencer Brown, might be ready to suit up. After missing practice earlier in the week, he returned Friday in a limited capacity. Brown is officially listed as questionable, but McDermott sounded cautiously optimistic. Even if he's not 100%, it's a good sign for an offensive line that's been playing some of its best football in years. If Brown can't go, Ryan Van Damark is next man up, and he's already proven he can step in when needed, just like he did last season in Week 11. That said, with Josh Allen rolling and James Cook making history, the Bills would love to have their full starting five up front. There's another name to keep an eye on: A.J. Epinesa. He's also questionable with a pectoral issue. Epinesa has been part of a rotation that's kept fresh legs on the field at defensive end, but if he's sidelined, it could open the door for a rookie Bills fans have been dying to see: Landon Jackson. The third-round pick has been waiting for his NFL debut, and this might be the week. Standing 6'7", with long arms and explosive power, Jackson is billed like a pass-rushing nightmare. If he gets activated, it'll be a chance to see just how deep this defensive line rotation can be. To fill Oliver's absence at defensive tackle, practice squad lineman Zion Logue is likely to be elevated again. He's done solid work in limited snaps, but the Bills are clearly thin in the interior right now. That's where the Saints might try to attack, testing Buffalo's depth with power runs and quick passes to neutralize the pass rush. Without Milano, the Bills will need contributions from Dorian Williams, who steps into the starting lineup, as well as veterans Joe Andresen and Shaq Thompson. Special teams depth is also a concern, which is why all eyes are on practice squad linebacker Jimmy Ciarlo. Yes, the same Jimmy Ciarlo who became a fan favorite during Hard Knocks. Don't be surprised if he gets elevated for this game, and don't be surprised if he makes an impact on kickoff coverage or punt return duty. This is what championship teams do, Bills Mafia. When injuries pile up, depth players step forward, and suddenly new heroes are born. Now let's talk about one of the brightest storylines of this young season: James Cook. After signing a 4-year, $48 million extension this offseason, Cook has looked every bit worth the investment. Through 3 games, he's totaled nearly 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, ripping off explosive runs and showing the complete skill set that makes him one of the best backs in football. But this Sunday, Cook has a chance to make franchise history. If he scores a rushing touchdown against the Saints, he'll become the first player in Buffalo Bills history to record 8 consecutive games with a rushing touchdown. Think about that. With all the great running backs who've worn this uniform, Thurman Thomas, Marshawn Lynch, LaShawn McCoy, Cook could be the one to set this record. It's not just the touchdowns, though. Cook has been the spark plug that makes this offense almost impossible to defend. Defenses already have to account for Allen's arm and legs. Add in Cook's ability to break off 40-yard runs like he did against the Jets, or his 26-yard burst against Miami, and suddenly opponents are stretched thin. This week, Cook even sat down on the Rich Eisen show, where he gave Bills fans a glimpse into his relationship with Josh Allen, and what he said should fire up everyone in Buffalo. A great player, a great teammate. Everybody doesn't know. He's one of the best persons. He's going to make sure you're all right. He's never going to leave you in a bind and just going to be always there for you. That's the culture Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have built here. Star players who aren't just about stats. They're about team, about family, about never leaving a teammate behind. And because Buffalo always finds a way to mix football with fun, Cook also revealed his new partnership with Rich Products to launch the James Cookie. That's right, our RB1 has his own cookie brand now sold right here in Buffalo. Cook laughed when asked how it started, saying, "I guess my last name, you know? My agent just told me they're coming out with a cookie and boom, it's here." The company says the cookie represents Buffalo's passion, pride, and energy. And really, could there be a more perfect symbol for Bills Mafia? Whether it's cookies or touchdowns, Cook is delivering. Week 4 brings the Bills back home to Highmark Stadium to face the New Orleans Saints. On paper, this should be a game Buffalo controls. The Saints are struggling, and there's one piece of breaking news that tilts the scales even further in the Bills' favor. New Orleans will once again be without their game-changing edge rusher, Chase Young. Yes, you heard that right. Chase Young, the former Defensive Rookie of the Year, the player who finally put together a fully healthy season in 2024 with career highs across the board, will miss his 4th straight game to start 2025. That's massive. For Saints fans, it's devastating. For the Bills, it opens up an opportunity. Let's not forget what Young means to New Orleans. Last season, he was responsible for 31 of their 39 total sacks. His 16.2% pressure rate was among the best in football. When he's on the field, quarterbacks feel it. Offensive lines get tested. But since training camp, a calf injury has sidelined him, and head coach Kellen Moore made it clear they're not rushing him back. He even said, if you come back too soon, these things become recurring and create season-long issues. That's the reality. The Saints don't want to risk his entire year by pushing him too quickly. But here's the kicker. Without Young, the Saints' pass rush has collapsed. So far this season, New Orleans ranks dead last in the NFL in quarterback pressure rate at just 21.6%. Compare that to Buffalo's offensive line, which has allowed pressures at the lowest rate in the league, only 20.7%. That's dominance, Bills Mafia. You combine the Bills' protection with the Saints' inability to generate pressure, and suddenly, Josh Allen's path to carving up this defense looks even clearer. Now let's zoom in on what this means for Sunday. Buffalo has its own injury concerns. Right tackle Spencer Brown is questionable with a calf injury. If he can't go, Ryan Van DeMark is the next man up. Normally, losing your starting right tackle against a player like Chase Young would be a nightmare scenario. Bills fans would be sweating. But with Young out, the job for Van DeMark, or even a limited Brown, gets a whole lot easier. Instead of worrying about one of the NFL's premier pass rushers, they'll face a Saints front that simply hasn't been able to disrupt anyone this season. Just last week against Seattle, New Orleans pressured Sam Darnold only 3 times on 18 dropbacks. 3 times. That's not going to win you football games in today's NFL. And when you give Josh Allen a clean pocket, you know what happens. He makes magic. We've seen it time and time again. From his MVP season in 2024 to the start of this year, Allen thrives when he has time. Without pressure in his face, he can pick apart defenses, spread the ball to Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, and let James Cook continue to work out of the backfield. Speaking of Cook, don't forget, history is also on the line this week. If James Cook scores a rushing touchdown, he'll set a franchise record with 8 straight games finding the end zone on the ground. That's another storyline to watch. While the Saints struggle to disrupt quarterbacks, they also have to deal with one of the hottest running backs in football right now. But let's not overlook the bigger picture. For Buffalo, this isn't just about beating a weakened opponent. It's about showing consistency. Remember Week 1? Zay Flowers torched the secondary. In Week 2, there were slip-ups. In Week 3, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both found the end zone. The defense has work to do, and Sean McDermott knows it. That's why even in a game where the opponent looks vulnerable, the Bills can't afford to take their foot off the gas. New Orleans might not have Chase Young,
but they still have playmakers. Chris Olave is a legitimate wide receiver 1. Rashid Shaheed can burn you deep. And Alvin Kamara remains one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. So yes, the Bills' offensive line might have an easier day without Young on the field, but the defense still has to prove it can contain talented skill players. Here's where the mental side of the game comes in. The Saints are coming off an embarrassing 44-6 loss to the Seahawks. That's the kind of defeat that can either break a team's spirit or fire them up to respond. So while everyone expects Buffalo to handle business, Sean McDermott's message to his locker room is simple. Don't overlook these guys. The minute you think a win is guaranteed in the NFL, that's when you get shocked. Still, make no mistake, Chase Young being out is a huge blow for New Orleans. It's like removing the engine from a car and expecting it to run at full speed. The Saints' defense doesn't scare anyone right now, and that's exactly where Buffalo has to capitalize. Protect Josh Allen, establish James Cook early, spread the ball around, and force the Saints to play from behind. If the Bills do that, this game could be over quickly. So what does all this mean heading into Sunday? The Bills are heavy favorites, but the Saints aren't without weapons. Chris Olave is a legitimate wide receiver 1. Rashid Shaheed can burn you deep, and Alvin Kamara remains one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. So yes, the Bills' offensive line might have an easier day without Young on the field, but the defense still has to prove it can contain talented skill players. Bills Mafia, here's the bottom line. Injuries are part of football, but championship teams adapt. The Bills are missing Milano and Oliver, but this is a chance for young guys like Dorian Williams, Zion Logue, and maybe even Landon Jackson to step up and prove they belong. It's also a chance for James Cook to cement his name in franchise history, and maybe even celebrate with a James Cookie afterward. So what do you think, Bills fans? Are you confident in the depth stepping up without Milano and Oliver? Do you think Spencer Brown should play if he's less than 100%, or should the team rest him for the long run? And how about James Cook? Will he make history on Sunday? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from all of you. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more exclusive Bills coverage, and share this with another member of Bills Mafia. Because here in Buffalo, it's not just football. It's family, it's community, and it's about building something special, 1 week at a time. Let's go, Buffalo!